Welcome to Ladies in Law, where real-world advice meets professional wisdom and empowerment in realms of law and business. Your hosts, Lisa Goucher, Dawn Smith, and Kellye Raymond, bring you innovative strategies, practical guidance, and inspirational stories. Join us as we inspire and support women to thrive in traditionally male-dominated fields. We're here to promote inclusivity and provide practical advice for success. Hi, I'm Lisa Goucher. Welcome to Ladies in Law. We are here today to share women in business, the challenges that we face. I'm going to introduce Dawn Smith and Kellye. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then they're going to do exactly the same thing. So I've been in legal for over 30 years. Grew up in Minnesota, finished high school in Oklahoma, lived in Texas since 1992. I absolutely love the legal industry, and I think it's a phenomenal place to cultivate an entrepreneurial spirit. So I worked as a paralegal for approximately 15 years, and then the latter part of my career has been owning and running and building 2 court reporting firms. So I'm going to turn it over to Dawn so that she can share a little more about herself.
Hi, I'm Dawn Smith. I'm a trial lawyer and I own a national civil litigation firm. I'm so grateful to be here today with these 2 amazing women. We're hoping that we can add something valuable if you are in the legal industry or in business. If you're a female entrepreneur, you're trying to kind of make your way and figure out how to break out of the box. And we hope that you're going to learn and grow with us through this entire process. So, Kellye.
Hi, Kellye Raymond. I'm a jury consultant. I went to law school. Most jury consultants go the psychology route. I went the law school route, but luckily have never had to practice a day in my life. I get to do all the fun stuff, which is the jury consulting world. And that's how Dawn and I met. That's how Lisa and I met. I grew up an Army brat, moving all over the country. I also went to high school in Oklahoma, so we've got a little bit of a
Did not know that.
Oklahoma high school thing going on here, but we're all here in Dallas, Texas. And we came together because we, first of all, are friends. We are situated in the legal industry, all in different aspects. And so we found ourselves at happy hours, just talking about things that we had to go through, things we wanted to make better, things we wanted to get better at. And so here we are.
That's right.
And so today, this being our very first podcast, I'll just say the nerves. Are you nervous?
A little bit. Yes, I'm a little bit.
I mean, it's one of my favorite things to tell witnesses when I'm prepping them to testify. It's okay to be honest with the jury. And so we're nervous. It's our first podcast. And I feel like we're a little late to the podcast. Everybody seems to have a podcast these days. So we're a little late to the party, but here we are.
That's right.
We're getting started, and then the intention is just to continue and to find those sweet spots where we feel like we can actually serve. Like serve women, serve the community, and provide valuable input that is like going to because to me, that's like the biggest thing. I want to figure out how to make you feel good about what you're doing. Kellye, same thing. And so I'm really good one-on-one with women and getting to know them and finding their challenges. And I feel like this environment is going to cultivate that. But I really want to know, and I really want to talk to Dawn about go ahead and tell them how we first met. Like, how did we ever even get to this point? Because it was quite a few years ago.
It was quite a few years ago. I mean, we've known each other for 10 years now.
I think it's a little longer.
A little bit longer.
Let's just
12?
say that. Yeah.
Okay. So, so Lisa is a hustler. I was working for a trial firm here in Dallas, and Lisa came to our office, and she owned a court reporter company, and she was just so, I don't know, you inspired me from the moment I set eyes on you, really. You're like, hey, I'm Lisa Goucher. I have a court reporter agency, and you need a court reporter. And I thought, well, she came all the way up to my building.
I do. I remember walking into your office. Like, it doesn't matter if you do sales. I think most anybody who does sales, it's still nerve-wracking. It doesn't matter how many years you do it. When you're first walking in, it's like the nerves and the excitement of just pushing yourself outside that comfort zone.
Yeah.
But
especially
you were warm.
in the legal industry.
Especially.
Right?
I mean, who cold calls lawyers? This one right
It's a
here.
scary thing to think about.
Wait a second. How did that happen?
So Kellye, then make the connection between you and Dawn.
So Dawn and I met at a CLE lunch for the Dallas Trial Lawyers Association. I had just recently gone out on my own with a brand new consulting firm. Neither one of us really knew anybody at this lunch, and we found ourselves sitting next to each other, kind of making small talk, and we just realized, hey, we don't have any friends here. Let's be friends.
We owe it all to DTLA.
Shout out to DTLA.
That's right.
I think it really was just, it's you meet a lot of people in the legal industry who aren't always friendly or looking to make friends. And so when you can make a personal connection with somebody, and that's what Dawn and I did. And then we later worked together, and we've been friends ever since. That was probably 6-7 years ago,
like 7 or 8
years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, and I think that's kind of why we're all together sitting here today, because each one of us, I think, sparked something in the other, right? So,
Agreed.
I met you and just kind of by happenstance, and then you too. But then when the three of us came together, I felt like we really talked about things that made a difference in my life. I mean, you guys have said some things that have really kind of changed my thinking about where I'm at and where I'm trying to go. So I feel like being able to share that together here and then also share it with other people, I think it might make a difference. I'm hoping it's going to make a difference.
Working really hard and meeting somebody that you recognize they're a hustler, right? And learning something. I've learned something from many things from each of you, but I think it's this idea of being successful in your industry. We're all in the same industry, but we all do different things. And I have really found that successful folks kind of break into two different categories. It is either I'm at the top and I'm going to stay here and kind of step on everybody to get there, or I'm at the top and I'm going to turn around and I'm going to reach and pull somebody up here with me.
Yeah, that's right.
And that is absolutely something that I've learned from you both. And
well,
so
you're definitely that way too. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, we're always talking about what we can do to kind of who's around us, who is driven, who's trying to make a change where they're at. What questions do they have? Like Lisa, you were talking to somebody that was thinking about actually working for a litigation company and
yes,
right? And you're like, well, why don't you just start a company? And she just sat there and kind of looked at you like, wait a second, I hadn't even thought about that.
Exactly. The thing that I feel is a commonality between the three of us is always seeking growth. Status quo is not going to get it. If I am exactly where I am this time next year, like I'm going to be so incredibly disappointed with myself. I know I'm not going to be there. I know that I'm going to continue reaching. I'm going to be pushing. And it's not necessarily, I'm not competing against you or anyone else. It's just a personal thing. And so for me, that's what drives me. That's what I love. And that's the passion. And, Dawn, when I think about that very first meeting, and then I've watched the growth that you've experienced. So, this entire podcast, it's about talking about being an entrepreneur. And I feel like even if you work at a company, within that company, you can still have an entrepreneurial spirit and figure out how to make a difference and do something on your own. The person that you were when I first went in there was a lawyer that practiced law. The person that you are today, you have taken it to the next level. Like you weren't going to settle. You started figuring out, okay, well, if I'm going to be successful in business, then I have to figure out how am I going to market? How am I going to market my company? I'm going to seek out the best employees with the most diverse backgrounds so that we can all flourish and grow from within. So the person that I met 10, 12 years ago is not the person I'm looking at today. And that is what really warms my heart. And Kellye, when did you start your business? Because you put yourself out there.
Gosh, 2017.
Like right before I met you.
On complete accident. And the funny thing about this podcast is we got the idea thinking we're all entrepreneurs, we're all in business, we're in the legal industry, let's talk about that. And I never wanted to be a business owner. I never wanted to hang a shingle. It terrified me. It scared the shit out of me. It still does sometimes.
It is terrifying.
Anybody that owns a business knows
it's
when it's your name on the back of the jersey, it is scary. But it is at the same time one of the most rewarding things. And I completely agree. The idea that we get to push ourselves every day to get a little bit better. especially working with trial lawyers. And that's ultimately how we kind of all have that commonality, right? In the courtroom, trial lawyers are a different breed of lawyers. And what they do, especially what Dawn does in the plaintiff's field, representing victims, catastrophic injuries, it's not easy to do. And the idea that as a trial lawyer, you can't be the same every time. You have to be constantly getting better, or else you will get left behind. And I think that's true for a lot of business owners, right? Not just in the legal industry, but if you're not growing, if you're not perfecting, changing all the time, you're going to get left behind.
And that's the whole thing about you guys, right? It's all about surrounding ourselves with people that are going to help us get to that next level, right? Like, how can I help you get to the next level, right? And I mean, you have helped me in so many ways, like learn and grow and be a better trial lawyer. Like, you're younger than me, and she's
the
youngest. She was just so, no fear at all. Like, you have no problem telling me, Dawn, right? You can't say it that way. You have to say it like this. And you were really one of the first people that I met that was able to do that in a way that I would immediately respected you. So being able to be frank and honest and truthful with people in the position that we're in, and just be authentic about how we're kind of bringing people along with us, I think that is really kind of another piece of the puzzle for us, at least the glue that brings us together, because I wouldn't be here without you. Absolutely. You've supported me in this business and the business that I was in before, and I've had some hard times, and, you were not only a friend, but, a colleague and a business associate that gave me grace when I needed grace. And I'll never forget that. So I think why we're all here is because we are willing to do whatever it takes to, like you said, reach down, pull people up, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing, and just, I don't know. I think that a lot of people don't understand or appreciate how powerful they are, right?
Totally. I totally think that is probably the biggest challenge with anybody that you meet. You can see the potential in them, and you can tell them, but for them to honestly feel that and to embrace it, it's really, so I was nervous about this. I was talking to a girlfriend, and she was just like, "What are you talking about? You just be. You are what you are." I said, "Well, I'm a little rusty." And she said, No, you're not rusty. And so just what she said, I took to heart, because I was thinking, okay, I don't want to show up and not be able to contribute and not to be able to provide anything of value. And she quashed my reservations right out of the gate. And so I have them, you have them, and you hope that the people that we touch, the people that we talk to, that we can inspire them to embrace, maybe just a little bit discomfort, to push themselves to the next level.
That's it.
No status quo here. Let's do it. This is the year to make a difference.
Isn't that funny? We speak nicer to our friends sometimes than we speak to ourselves, and Dawn is so good at building me up, building you up, and sometimes you're not as good at building yourself up. And I think we all share that, right? Imposter syndrome is a real thing.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I've spent the last 10 years of my career as a jury consultant, and especially going out on my own for the last almost 7 years. I'm still faking it till I make it, right? But that's the point. You've got to put on a brave face and act like you know what you're doing, even if you're not quite sure, you're not quite convinced that you actually do. When you're in sales, and we're all in some degree in sales, right? If you're selling yourself as a trial lawyer, you've got a successful court reporting business, and I want to hear more about that, though, because court reporter is the most important person in the courtroom.
Absolutely.
Tell us how you started your court reporting company.
So I was working as a paralegal in asbestos litigation. That's where the majority of my legal experience has been since 1992. And my former business partner, I wasn't a partner obviously at the time. It was back in the day when if anybody ever called you on a cell phone, it was like you could only hear every third or fourth word. And I was like, okay, whatever. She called me back on a landline and said, you know, Lisa, let's do lunch. We went to lunch, and she said, if you will come and work for the court reporting firm. So I had a really good situation going on in the paralegal world. I was making bonuses, I was making overtime, I had a good salary. It was all very predictable. And I was a very predictable person.
Like boring a little
so
bit, maybe?
Yes, I was boring.
I'm not believing that ever.
And she said, if you come to the office and you double the business, I'll give you half of it. And it was my husband and my best friend that were like, what do you got to lose? Well, my thought process went to, I'd already seen a bunch of paralegals leave and go to a different industry and then come with their tails between their legs and come back to being a paralegal. And, you know, for some reason, I didn't like that thought, but I went and did it and doubled the business in less than a year.
Look at you.
And, you know, that was back, I started September 23rd of 1999. In less than a year, by the end of 2000, I'd earned my partnership. And it was exactly everything you said a moment ago, Kellye, because like I didn't know what I didn't know, but you just forge ahead.
Yeah.
And so
figure it out as you get going.
It was a Cinderella story because we were broke, struggling, had our first baby, and you know, in less than a year, my life turned upside down in a very, very positive.
Just because you took a chance.
Yeah, because I took the risk.
Yeah.
I was encouraged. And so the way I describe myself as an example of how the entrepreneurial spirit can be cultivated. Because I was count on my paycheck, count on my, you know, all these things. Well, once you scrap all that and you're only being paid commissions, like that's a serious risk.
Yeah, it is.
Further,
You only eat what you kill, right?
yes. And further, when I worked at the law firm, like if somebody didn't have it going on, I just didn't use them. I just worked longer days. Well, in the court reporting world, I'm not a court reporter. I own the business, I run it, I drum up business, I do damage control, but I can't go take the depot, and I'm not a videographer. So I had to finally learn to put my trust in other people because there was no way I'd be able to cover those bases. So once you cultivate the entrepreneurial spirit, it's just an awakening like nothing else before.
That's what I want to ask. I want to know, like, what is it in the bottom of our, I don't know, heart or soul? Like, what do you think it was in your childhood or when you were growing up that made you feel like you could do something like this, right? Like, could start a business, or things weren't too hard, right? Or if it was a challenge, you could overcome it. Can either one of you think of like a time?
I'll be very honest with you. As I mentioned, I never wanted to own my own company. It wasn't something, some people are born with that entrepreneurial spirit and they will find a way to make it happen.
Not me, Kellye. I'm with you. I didn't think so.
I had to kind of be pushed into it. My now husband, boyfriend at the time, and my mentor, Lisa Blue, just you can do it. And I'm, no, I don't want to. It's kind of scary and I've got bills to pay, and, you know, it's easy for you to say, but at the end of the day, you've got to, when you take a chance on yourself, as stressful as it can be, when you take a chance on yourself, you get it done. And then you get to enjoy, similar to you, Lisa, I had been out on my own for less than a year and had already doubled what my salary had been when I left. And just simply by
amazing
having my own name on the back of the jersey.
I totally remember talking to you about that. I remember we were sitting over at Chop House.
Shout out to Chop
Shout out to Chop
House.
House.
Spent many a happy hour there.
It's the Wicked Butcher now. It's back. It opened like 3 weeks ago. Yes, we have to go over and celebrate at some point after this. But yeah, I remember you talking about that, and I never knew how you came into court reporting and how you started that business. So I think it's the same kind of thing, you know, taking that chance on yourself, right? Like being willing to just let it all be on you. That's a huge step. It's
so
a
did
huge
you
risk.
start at a firm and then start your own firm, or tell us about that.
So I really always wanted to be maybe a partner at a firm, I think, but I definitely wasn't a business person, didn't know anything about business. And, I thought working for my firm in Orange County, so I worked at a firm in Orange County for almost 10 years, and they were so gracious to me. I still talk to them. I love them. The Cifarelli Law Firm, a dad and two brothers. I just got lucky. It was like super hard to find a job. I put out like 100 applications, and luckily the girl that I was studying for the bar with, she had a boyfriend that was working for this law firm in Orange County, and she's like, I think they need a law clerk. I'm like, okay, anything.
Yeah.
I had a 6-month-old at the time. I was like, my husband was working full time. We're like, we've got to hustle, right? Law school loans to pay and all that stuff. And I started working with them, and I really thought that I thought I might be there forever. I thought I might make partner there. And it just as the years went on, right, and I didn't make partner. Now looking back on it, I can totally understand, because it's dad and two brothers that own the company, like bringing me into it, and I learned so much from them that when I took the job here in Dallas, I really felt like, you know what, maybe I can do something more, maybe I can actually have my own firm. But I always wanted a partner. Like, I mean, you, especially going alone. Like, I would not. My partner, Curtis Kleinsmith, he's like the business guy. I think he's brilliant. And I was really lucky to have known him for so many years, and really to have a chance to partner with him in the business that we have now. It just kind of worked.
Well, don't you think one of the most important things about owning a business is being able to recognize your weaknesses and finding people to complement those weaknesses, and to build up around you things that maybe you're not so good at? I always think it's kind of a waste to spend your time on things that you're just simply not good at. Not that you couldn't improve and get better at certain things. That's not what I'm saying, but bring in people that can help you. Bring in people that can build you up. And when people around you are striving for the same thing that you're striving, makes it a little bit easier.
So how are you doing that? Because it's all on you. And I know we've talked a lot about, hey, are you going to get some help? And you're like, oh, and then you've tried a couple of people. And
I think kind of specific to jury consulting is it's a personal relationship, much like hiring a lawyer to represent you, or finding a court reporter that you trust, that is going to get things done the right way. So when I have a relationship with my clients are the lawyers, right?
Right.
So when I have a relationship with a client, it is a bit personal. And so I've really struggled. As I've been fortunate enough to get busy, the problem is I haven't figured out how to clone myself. And so I can't be in two places at once. Trials get scheduled on the same day, and I've got to figure out where I need to be. I can't be everywhere at once. And that's something that I'm currently struggling with, is trying to find the help where I can say, and I can feel comfortable saying, listen, client of mine, you're great. Unfortunately, I'm not available, but here's Dawn or Lisa. They're going to come in my place, and they're going to do a good, the ability to trust somebody,
yes,
especially when your business is your baby, right? Nobody's going to love your business as much as you love it. Nobody's going to work as hard. And so getting to that point to find help and to trust help, it's hard. It's a constant struggle, and I'm still trying to figure that one out.
I mean, how do you convince your clients to trust somebody else? I mean, because I know, right? I want to move up. Since we're doing a podcast together, and if you're double booked, can I be first on the list? I feel like I've kind of moved up. Like,
see, we're building new businesses right here on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I
can recruit you to be a jury consultant.
Maybe you can be a trial lawyer with me.
I do get to do all the fun things.
We do.
None of the boring lawyer bullshit.
So I don't know your perspective, which I think is awesome about, loving what you do. I mean, it's hard. Like, telling a lawyer that, he or she needs to not say that, and like getting them to understand and appreciate that so that they trust you, and building that level of trust so that you know what you're talking about. I mean, I think that that's your special talent. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
No, I do. I think that's your special talent. And I think to be able to convince one of your clients that you can bring somebody else that's going to do as good of a job as you, that's big ask.
it's a mountain we're climbing here. Stay tuned. We'll see how that, maybe it's a one-man show, who knows, but or one-woman show.
One-woman show.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, it's all relationship driven. Like that's the common thread throughout everything, in my opinion, is that if you have the relationships and you put them first, then it's going to work and it's going to make a difference and you're going to grow. You have the challenge of finding someone to be second fiddle to you, that they can have that relationship and your business grow, right?
Yeah. Well, you've grown businesses more than one,
Yeah.
right?
Tell us how you
What's
you did
the
it.
secret sauce to growing a business?
Yeah.
The secret sauce to growing a business would be just care about the people first and foremost. And you said the other thing a moment ago, let the others do what they're good at doing and you step out, you do what you are best at. I'm good at sales. I'm not good at operations. I do not need to be telling you what your businesses need to be doing behind the scenes. But for me, I don't have any contracts in my business. It's all relationships. Everything is relationships. This is a relationship that we have here. And so, I think for our very first podcast, our introductions, is there anything else that we want to share?
I don't know. I will. I'll share something. I was driving in my car, and I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while, and I was
Yes,
just.
this was all your idea.
Yeah,
Actually.
it was. I will
Tell
take
us
full
how the
credit.
idea came about.
But I was driving home after we were. I think it was after we were all together, or maybe not. It was like a couple of days later, and I had just been thinking about it. I was just like, oh my gosh, this could work. And I called you guys immediately and texted you immediately. And I was thinking, they might not respond or anything, but you responded first within like a minute. And then I got the text from you like
a little bit
2
more
minutes.
begrudgingly.
Like 2 minutes later. And I don't know. I'm excited about being together with you guys and learning even more, because I feel like I know you, but now, today, I know you even more. Yeah. I know you even more. And I hope that,
Well, I think that you both have really good experiences to share, right? You are a little bit older than me, but that means you've got way more experience. And so
you
been there.
Appreciate
You have
that.
done that. I'm here to learn from you guys. And that's why I think that we're friends first, is because we enjoy learning from each other. And so I'm excited. I think we've got some cool topics to talk about. Obviously, we're 3 women, 3 blondes, as it turns out to be.
Today.
Yeah, exactly. Navigating the legal industry, which is its own kind of beast, right? Especially the trial lawyers. And Dawn, you'll forgive me when I say trial lawyers, in order to be a good trial lawyer, you have to have a certain amount of ego. It takes a lot of something to stand up and to persuade 12 strangers to do what you want them to do, right? You've got to have a healthy amount of ego to be good at that. But of course, we all know trial lawyers that have got maybe a little too much ego. And, we have to navigate that.
Yeah. I do want to hear some stories. Like, I'm sure you guys have got some great stories.
Those will have to be left for a future podcast. I think today we have done a wonderful job, in my opinion, for our first one, just introducing ourselves, where we're going, and we cannot wait to share again.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Ladies in Law. We hope you're walking away inspired and ready to shake things up in law and business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and let us know what you think. We are here for you. Spread the word and share this podcast with your network. Let's get everyone in on the action. Follow us on our socials for all the behind-the-scenes fun and sneak peeks of upcoming episodes. Until next time, keep rocking it, keep breaking the mold, and as always, keep aspiring to inspire.